we were dealing with the chapter Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela, and we had seen how Nelson Mandela had described about the day, the inauguration day. He has mentioned each and every detail over there so that we as a reader could have a feel of that. If you close your eyes and you read it, you may feel that you were present at that time in that place, in that situation, right? So that is what Nelson Mandela was talking about, the apartheid, how they gave fight to it, and how on 10th May 1994 they came out to be victorious. Okay. Now after that, other information like who was the second deputy president, Mr. D. Clark, deputy president, and was sworn in by Thabo Mbeki, and so on. And then Nelson Mandela, when it was his turn to sworn, and he gave a speech wherein he assured every people, irrespective of their skin color, that everybody will be enjoying the same rights. Everybody will be free in the new land of South Africa. There will be no discrimination hereforth till coming future generations and generations. There will be no discrimination on the basis of their skin color. So let's continue with the chapter today. Now, the day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. I felt that day, as I have on so many other days, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. So what is he doing? He is saying that he is thinking about the sacrifices that were made by thousands of people for the sake of this day. The day when South Africa is declared as the free country. And he is remembering them. Right? So that is what he is talking about in this passage. And he says that he feels very sad, very upset on this day. He feels very sad and very upset on this day when he is present there. But he is not able to connect, he is not able to see those people who had worked hard to bring the country to this point. Understood? So, I feel that day, as I have on so many other days, that I simply the sum of all of those African patriots who had gone before me. That long and noble line ended and now began again with me. So he says, the long and noble line ended. Ended means the people who had died during the freedom struggle. But he has also seen that time. He was also the part of that struggle. So he says, the line has ended, but today I feel that line has again started from me. I was pained that I was not able to thank them, and that they were not able to see that the sacrifices had won. So he says, I am very upset today. Upset why? Upset because he is not able to thank those freedom fighters for their struggle. Okay? And he is upset because those people are not able to see the results of their sacrifice, the achievement of their sacrifice. Right? And that's what makes Nelson Mandela a bit upset on that day. He is remembering all those people. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. Yes, the policy of the apartheid, that was the discrimination, the trouble, the problems that the people faced. So this created a deep wound. That means this wound, this injury will take a long time for the people, even in the coming generations, to overcome through it, to forget those suffering. It will take a long time. That's what Nelson Mandela speaks about. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from the profound hurt. So that's what. The hurt, the wound, the injury is so deep that it will take a long time to recover from. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect, and that was that it produced the Oliver Tambos, the Walter Sisuluus, the Chief Lithulius, the Yusuf Dadus, the Bram Fishers, the Robert Subokovs of our time. So all these names which he is talking about, they were all the part of the apartheid movement. They have fought bravely and gave up their lives for the freedom of the country. Now if you read it properly, then you will see that there is the used in front of every proper noun. And also along with the names, S is used. That means the article is used as well as they are spoken about in plural forms. But if we get reminded of the rules of the article, we learn that the article the cannot be used in front of a proper noun. Right? So why are we using it? Here we are using it because these names, what the people we are talking about, they were very special. They were one of their kinds. Right? And after that, the S is added to their names. That means the plurals. This is because they are talking about the other people whose name remained unknown for the history. They had been part of the struggle, but who could not gain so much of popularity or the name in the fight of freedom struggle. So this is to refer to those people. That people like Oliver, right? And people like Bram, people like Yusuf, Dadus. So this is the reason why the is used in front of these proper nouns along with their plural forms. I hope it gets clearly to you. Now coming on to the next page. Courage, wisdom and generosity that their like may never be known again. Yes, these people, they were known for their courage, for their generosity, that they could lose their life for the sake of the country, for the sake of the future generation. And people like them can never come back again. Because now I guess Nelson Mandela feels that there is no need for again having a freedom fight. Because they will be trying hard to protect their hard-earned freedom. Perhaps it requires such depths of oppressions to create such heights of character. Yes. The more the person is pressurized, the more the person is suppressed, it comes out with the same force back. That means if you are pressurized to study, and if you are able to handle that pressure, then the result will be fabulous. You will be coming out with flying colors. You will be reaching to that height of success. That is what Nelson Mandela is again talking here about. My country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil. But I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamonds. So South African countries are famous for their diamonds, okay, and the other minerals that are found there. But Nelson Mandela says that this is not the real wealth of my country. The real wealth of my country is its people, who are more costlier, more precious even than the diamonds. They are the most purest forms of the diamond. It is from these comrades in the struggle that I learned the meaning of courage. Comrades are the soldiers who he had seen struggling for the freedom. So he says from them he has learned that courage. He's got that courage that from an ordinary life he has been risen to such a successful point. He has been getting inspiration and courage after seeing these people around him. Time and again, I have seen men and women risk and give their lives for an idea, for the struggle for freedom. to achieve freedom. This was the idea, and for this idea, many people had laid down their life. And it was not that, oh, one person has lost his or her life, so now I am scared, I'll sit back at my home and I am not going to be part of that struggle. No, that doesn't take place. One is gone, fine, the other one is ready to replace him, and the cycle goes on till the goal is achieved. Right? I have seen men stand up to attacks and torture without breaking, showing a strength and resilience that defies the imagination. So now he says that he had seen men and women to stand up, to face the attacks, to face the oppressions, to face the difficulties. And when they have been doing this, they had lot of strength to bear all this. The same thing again. Right? If suppose I get one scratch on my knee when I am learning to ride my bicycle, and if I would have left it then and there, maybe today I would have never known to ride or drive any other vehicle. But I did not stop at that place. You people did not stop at that place after getting hurt by the bicycle. So today you are able to ride other vehicles, drive the vehicles. So same is the case here what Nelson Mandela is talking about. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So there is nothing brave that I don't get scared. I am not feared of anything. No. I am feared of anything, something, and I have that capability, I have that courage to overcome that fear. That is what is the real bravery according to Nelson Mandela. Clear? No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can learn to love. They can be made learn to love, they can be taught to love. That is what. A small child, if you see, he doesn't know anything. He goes to the strangers, he laughs, he cries, but that crying doesn't show that he hates that person. No. It's only he doesn't know that person, so he is crying. But that doesn't show anywhere that he hates that person. It is only while we grow, in the process of growing up, we learn these things. Right? We learn the emotions. We learn things like hating, loving, sharing, being generous, being kind, and so on. So Nelson Mandela says that a person learns to hate. It is not an inborn quality. Right? So he is learning this. And he says if a person can learn to hate, you can obviously and always teach him to love. Because love is that one emotion for which heart is made. Love is accepted very naturally and easily by the heart than it is with the hate. So that is what Nelson Mandela wants to say here. Even in the grimmest time in prison, when my comrades and I were pushed to our limits, I would see a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards, perhaps just for a second. In the grimmest time, in the toughest time. Right? Now he is talking about the time which he has spent in jail, in the prison. So he says during that toughest time when these white people used to torture us beyond our limit, beyond our capability, beyond our ability to bear that torture. They used to torture us. And in this torture also, what he says, he would find a glimpse of humanity. Where? On the face of one of the guards. Maybe that guard would also feel sorry for the behavior that was being done to us. So he says maybe that was for a second, a very short time. But that's what gave him the courage, gave him the hope that yes, there is still humanity and he can bring a change in the society, in the world. But it was enough to reassure me to keep going. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. Yes. If you are good, maybe during some circumstances you might try to be bad or you might try to be negative, but the inbuilt thing is you are good. That cannot be destroyed. That can never come to an end. That quality will always remain, whatever criteria, whatever surrounding, whatever circumstances. It will never end up. Maybe for some time you may lose it, but the other moment you will again get it back. Each man is able to fulfill those obligations according to his own inclinations and abilities. So, every person, according to his ability, according to his capability, is able to fulfill his obligations, his duties. But in a country like South Africa, it was almost impossible for a man of my birth and color to fulfill both of those obligations. So now he's saying, he was talking up till now in general, but now he's coming to his own self and he says, but for a man like me, who was born in South Africa under the supremacy of the white people, it was very difficult for him to keep up his traits, to keep up his qualities. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated. The man of color is the dark colored skin person, right? So if he tried to live like a human being, he would be punished. He would be sent away in isolation, in a loneliness, away from everybody. Okay? In South Africa, a man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people was inevitably ripped from his family and his home and was forced to live life apart, a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. So what he says a person who wanted to do something for his fellow people, right, for his brothers and sisters of his country, then these people could not work openly. They had to stay away from their family, get away from their family and hide themselves. Right? They needed to be hiding themselves in order to work for the upliftment, in order to work for the betterment of their fellow human being. I did not in the beginning choose to place my people above my family. But in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligations as a son, a brother, a father and a husband. So now he says that in the beginning, I did not have that zeal, I did not have that thing inside me, that spark inside me to keep my country, my people ahead of something, or maybe my family, above my family. No. We as normal human beings, when we think, like if we talk about the present scenario of lockdown. So we as normal human beings, what are we doing? We have locked ourselves inside our houses and we are sitting. Why? Because for me, my family is my priority, and for my family, I am their priority. And just to keep each other safe, we have locked ourselves inside our houses. But think about those doctors, about those cleaners, sweepers, and the other people, police. What are they doing? They are working out from their homes. They are away from their families and they are working for us. That means they have kept the people of their country above their family. So I hope with this example you are able to relate to the chapter. Okay. So but when once he got inside his heart that zeal, that no, I have to do something for my people, I have to do something for my family, then he says, I could not fulfill my duties. I could not fulfill my obligations, my duties towards my family as a son, as a brother, as a father, as a husband. son or a brother. I was only a human being who wanted to do something for the other human beings in the country. I was not born with hunger to be free. I was born free. Free in every way that I could know. Yes. A child who is born doesn't know that he is a slave, he is under some bondage or something. No, that child is born free. Same was the case with Nelson Mandela. He says, I was born free. I was born free for everything. If I felt like going out of the house, I could go freely. If I felt like eating something, I could eat. That is what I was born free. But free to run in the fields near my mother's hut, free to swim in the clear stream that ran through my village, free to roast meals under the stars and ride the broad backs of slow-moving bulls. As long as I obeyed my father and abided by the customs of my tribe, I was not troubled by the laws of man or God. So it says, as long as I was following all the rules that my family told me, that the people around me told me, I was a good man. Nobody thought of troubling me, neither man nor God, nobody. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion. So, from a child now that has started growing, and as you grow, you learn many things. Right? And Nelson Mandela, in the process of growing up, learned that whatever he was thinking, like swimming in the stream, eating whatever he felt like, running in the fields, this was not a real freedom. This was just an illusion. It was just an imagination. The reality was that he was not free. When I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. Yes. So when he says that, when I learned that this, what I am thinking is my freedom is not my freedom. My freedom is something else. My freedom is I can go to the college of my wish, of my liking and study. Take the subjects whatever I feel like and study. Follow the job or occupation whichever I want to do it. But I cannot do all this. So then I realized that my freedom was not a real freedom. And then I started thinking. I started getting hunger for that freedom, to get that freedom for myself. The transitory freedoms of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased and go where I chose. Yeah, that's what I said. That you should be free to choose your study, to choose your subject. If you felt like today I don't want to go home till late night, so I should be moving freely on the streets. But that was not possible. Because a black person roaming out for such a long time, that means he was suspected that he was going to plan something or he is going to do something wrong. So that's what Nelson Mandela is talking about. Later, as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedoms of achieving my potential, of earning my keep, of marrying and having a family, the freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. So later when he was grown up into an adult, he thought that this is what my freedom is. I should be getting education, I should be doing my job, I should be getting married, I should be having a family. But then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. So slowly he learned that it is not only that he is feeling that he is not free. He has seen his brothers and sisters, they are also suffering with the same problem what Nelson Mandela has suffered. I saw that it was not just my freedom that was curtailed, stopped, cut. But the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. So he says, later I learned that everybody, whoever thought like me, whoever wanted to be free, they were all considered to be wrong. The freedom was curtailed, the freedom was reduced, it was stopped. That is when I joined the African And that is when the hunger for my own freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom of my people. Yes. When you are suffering from something, you realize the pain that other person is suffering with the same thing. Okay, and that is what Nelson Mandela is saying, that when he himself was suffering with these things, with the bondage, that time he realized the other people in his country are also suffering from that same bondage. And at that time he got this idea that he should be doing something for his people. Now he has learned to place his people, his country above his family, above himself. It was this desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect that animated my life. Animated my life, changed my life. That transformed a frightened young man into a bold one. So earlier Nelson Mandela was frightened because for him his family was everything. He might be thinking, if something goes wrong, if I am punished, what will my family do? How will they survive? But now that he has been transformed, he has changed himself. And for him now, his country, his countrymen, country people are more precious to him than his family and himself. So he says, now I have been changed. My priorities are changed. That drove a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal. So Nelson Mandela was an attorney. He was an advocate. And from an advocate, from a person of law, he changed into a rebel. He changed into a criminal, he says. Why criminal? Because for the white people, it was a crime. Fighting for your rights was a crime. That turned a family-loving husband into a man without home. That forced a life-loving man to live like a monk. Yes. The choices you make will surely affect your life, will surely affect your present and future. So he says a person who was a loving husband has now changed into a person who is staying away from his home, who is not allowed to go to his home. A lively person who enjoyed everything was now like a monk, a sadhu. I am nowhere virtuous of self-sacrificing than the next man, but I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedoms I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. So he says that sometimes I felt that I had a little bit more of rights because he was an attorney, he was an advocate. So, but he could not enjoy that freedom. Why? Because he could feel that his fellow people are suffering. So he did not feel like enjoying that freedom. Freedom is indivisible. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. The chains on all of my people were the chains on me. So he says freedom cannot be divided. It cannot be I will be free, my mother will not be free, my father will not be free, my sister will be free, my wife will be free. No. If my mother is not free, my father is not free, then I am not free. My country is not free, my parents are not free, that means I am not free. That is what he is saying. I knew the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. So both have to work. The person who is trying to oppress, trying to suppress, trying to dominate, and the person who is getting suppressed, who is getting dominated, who is getting oppressed. They both have to work. Right? The oppressor must know that no, he has to allow that person of freedom. The oppressed must know that no, I have to fight for my freedom. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. Yes. If I enjoy making somebody trouble, torture, sad, suffering, then I am a prisoner of hatred. Inside me, inside my heart, I have the emotion of hatred. Now if I love hatred, that means I am living in a place, a self-made prison. I am behind the bars where my thinking is narrow, right? And I don't have that heart to think about the other people. I am a heartless person, a merciless person. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom, just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken away from me. Yes. If I snatch away somebody's things, that means what? I am a thief. It is equally the same if somebody else takes my thing. It is not that if somebody takes my thing, that person is to be blamed, that person is to be punished. But if I take somebody else's thing, I am not wrong. That's not happening. I am equally as wrong as the person who has taken away my thing. So, connect this with the freedom. If I take away somebody's freedom and somebody takes away my freedom, we both are equally to be blamed, equally to be punished. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. Again the same thing. They both are equally wrong. And this is what Nelson Mandela says about the freedom that he had been trying to achieve. He had been trying to fight for. And finally he had succeeded in getting his goal. Finally he has not only got success in achieving freedom for himself, but also for his other countrymen. So this is what the lesson was all about. Here in this lesson we get the motivation that don't just try to think about yourself, but also think about the people around you. Be kind, be generous, be thoughtful. And if you are able to do all this, you are the real epitome, you are the real example of humanity. You will be coming out as a successful human being who has not only achieved things for himself but also for others. And here we finish with the lesson. I hope you were able to understand the lesson. Just read the lesson. In any case of doubt, you can always get in touch with me. Thank you.